My name is Emily, and I'm 29 years old. That night still haunts my dreams. The night not a single family member showed up to my wedding. The night they all abandoned me for my sister Ashley's engagement party. My father's words on the phone: "You always exaggerate everything, Emily. Don't ruin Ashley's special day." My mother's text: "Stop being dramatic and support your sister." But what the hospital records would reveal would make them all criminals. If you've ever been made invisible by your family, abandoned on your most important day, let me know where you're watching from in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe, because this is the story of how a family orchestrated their own downfall. Growing up in the Anderson family meant living in a constant competition. But this competition could only have one winner, and that was always my younger sister, Ashley. In our luxury home in Connecticut, my father, William Anderson, a successful surgeon, and my mother, Barbara, who played the perfect hostess role flawlessly, raised two daughters, but only ever saw one. I, Emily, was always expected to be the responsible older sister, to make sacrifices, to set an example for Ashley. Even my work as a nurse wasn't prestigious enough for my father. "Why didn't you become a doctor?" was a question that came up at every family dinner. Ashley, meanwhile, was the golden child, a beauty influencer with millions of followers whose every move was applauded. I met Daniel when I was 26. He was a pediatric doctor at the hospital. Calm, understanding, and, most importantly, the only person who saw me as Emily, not as Ashley's shadow. After 2 years of dating, he proposed. On a snowy December evening in Central Park, when he got down on one knee and held out the ring, I felt like I was first for once in my life. When I told my family the news, their reaction was predictable. My mother's first question was, "What will Ashley say?" My father said, "I hope you're not rushing into this to overshadow your sister." Ashley was at an influencer event in Los Angeles at the time. When I told her over the phone, she just said a forced "congratulations." Wedding planning became hell. Every choice I made was compared to Ashley's future wedding. Ashley doesn't like white roses. Pick different flowers. That venue is Ashley's dream location. Let's look elsewhere. That date is too close to Ashley's birthday. Let's postpone. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I set a date in June, exactly 3 months after Ashley's birthday. I booked a small but elegant wedding venue. I prepared a guest list of 150 people. Everything was ready. Until Ashley called a week before my wedding. "Emily, I have amazing news," she screamed on the phone. Her voice sounded even more fake than usual. "Tyler proposed. Tyler Morrison, LA's most famous influencer. My follower count is going to pass 10 million. I knew Tyler. Rich, handsome, and completely narcissistic. He and Ashley had only been dating for 2 months. "Congratulations," I said coldly. "When are you getting engaged?" "That's the best part." Ashley's voice was now really loud. "Tyler is throwing a surprise engagement party at his Beverly Hills mansion this Saturday. 500 people are invited. Even Vanity Fair is coming." Saturday. My wedding day. "Emily," I said, my voice starting to shake, "Saturday is my wedding. You know that. I sent your invitation 6 months ago." There was silence on the other end of the phone. Then Ashley spoke in that familiar, manipulative tone. "Oh, Emily, I'm really sorry, but Tyler has already arranged everything. You know how important this is for my career. Your wedding is, it's just a small ceremony, right? I heard only 10 people from Daniel's family are coming. I'm sure you understand." I couldn't understand. I wouldn't understand. "You're not coming to my wedding?" I asked in disbelief. "Maybe we'll celebrate later," she said indifferently. "Besides, Mom and Dad are coming with me. Tyler's picking them up in his private jet. Dad's going to make a business deal with Tyler's father. He's been looking for a sponsor for the hospital's new wing." My world collapsed. Mom and Dad aren't coming either? "Talk to them if you want," Ashley said. "But Dad doesn't miss business opportunities. Besides, they already spent so much money on your wedding. This engagement party is basically free for them." After hanging up, I immediately called my mother. My hope was that at least my mother would come. Emily, please calm down, my mother Barbara said. Ashley has this opportunity. Tyler Morrison's family is one of the richest in California. The donation they'll make for your father's hospital? I'm getting married, Mom, I said, trying to hold back tears. Your own daughter's wedding. Don't exaggerate, please. You and Daniel are already living together. This is just a formality. Ashley's engagement is a turning point for her career. Be mature. I didn't even get a chance to talk to my father. His secretary kept saying he's in a meeting, he's not available. When he came home that evening, he had already made up his mind. Stop this drama, Emily, he said coldly. You always want to be the center of attention. Don't overshadow Ashley's happy day. The wedding will happen whether we're there or not. You're a grown woman. That night, I cried in Daniel's arms. Let's cancel, he said. Let's postpone the wedding. No, I said firmly. My whole life, I've postponed, given up, stepped aside for Ashley. Enough is enough. The week leading up to my wedding was torture. Every day brought a new betrayal. My Aunt Susan, my mother's sister, who had promised to be there no matter what, called to say she was going to Ashley's party. You understand, sweetheart. Your Uncle Robert needs to network with Tyler's father's connections. It's business. My cousins, Jennifer and Nicole, who had grown up with like sisters, sent a group text. Sorry, Em, but Ashley got us VIP passes to meet some huge influencers. This could launch our careers. Even my grandmother, Mary, my father's mother, who had always claimed I was her favorite, chose Ashley. Darling, at my age, a trip to Beverly Hills in a private jet is better for my health than a local wedding. You'll have other anniversaries. By Thursday, 2 days before the wedding, my entire family had canceled. 28 family members, all choosing Ashley's glamorous party over my wedding. Daniel's family was shocked. His mother, Linda, couldn't understand it. What kind of parents miss their daughter's wedding? She kept asking. I had no answer that made sense. Friday night, the rehearsal dinner, was supposed to be at an Italian restaurant downtown. My parents had insisted on paying for it months ago, making a big show of their generosity. But when we arrived, the manager looked confused. I'm sorry, Ms. Anderson, but your reservation was canceled yesterday. Your father called personally. I called my father immediately. He answered on the second ring, noise from what sounded like a party in the background. The rehearsal dinner, Dad? You canceled it? We're in Los Angeles, Emily. We arrived early for Ashley's party. Tyler is showing us his house. Did you know he has an original Basquiat? Anyway, I didn't think you'd still do the dinner without us. My wedding is tomorrow, I said, my voice breaking. Stop being dramatic. You're 29 years old. Act like it. He hung up. Daniel's parents ended up paying for an impromptu dinner at a smaller place. The 12 of us there tried to make it festive, but the empty chairs were impossible to ignore. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept checking my phone, hoping for one message from my family. Instead, I saw Ashley's Instagram stories. My entire family was at a pre-party in Beverly Hills. My mother was laughing, champagne in hand. My father was shaking hands with men in expensive suits. Ashley was showing off her massive diamond ring, making sure the camera caught every angle. The caption read, "Blessed to have my whole family here celebrating my engagement. Family is everything." Saturday morning, my wedding day, June 15th. The weather was perfect. Clear skies, 75 degrees. Daniel had stayed at a hotel, keeping with tradition. I was getting ready in the bridal suite with my two best friends from nursing school, Rachel and Sarah. You don't need them, Rachel said, helping with my veil. They don't deserve you. But I did need them, or at least I needed parents who cared enough to show up. At 10 a.m., as the hairdresser was working on my hair, my phone rang. It was Ashley. Emily, oh my God, you won't believe what happened. My heart stopped. Had they changed their minds? Were they coming? Tyler surprised me with a flash mob proposal redo for the cameras. It's going viral. 5 million views in 2 hours. Isn't that amazing? I hung up without responding. At 11:30, 30 minutes before the ceremony, I was fully dressed. The hairdresser was taking pictures when my phone buzzed with texts from Ashley. "Why aren't you answering? Don't be selfish on my day. Mom says you hung up on me. That's really immature. Dad wants you to apologize for causing drama." I turned off my phone. At noon, I walked down the aisle alone. No father to give me away, no mother crying happy tears. Daniel's side was full, 75 people. My side had maybe 20. Friends, coworkers, a few distant relatives who hadn't been invited to Ashley's party. Daniel was crying when he saw me. Happy tears, he later said, but I knew he was also heartbroken for me. The ceremony was beautiful despite everything. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, I half expected my family to burst in, but they didn't. They were 800 miles away, celebrating Ashley. During our first dance, Daniel whispered, "We're each other's family now." I tried to believe him. The reception was intimate. Daniel's father, Michael, gave a speech about welcoming me to their family, pointedly noting that some people don't recognize treasure when they have it. His mother hugged me so tight I could barely breathe, whispering, "We're your parents now, sweetheart." Around 3 p.m., as we were cutting the cake, the venue coordinator approached looking concerned. "Mrs. Thompson," she used my new married name, "there's someone at the entrance insisting she needs to see you. She says she's your sister?" My blood ran cold. Had Ashley come after all? But it wasn't Ashley. It was Madison, Tyler Morrison's ex-girlfriend. She looked disheveled, mascara running down her face. "I'm sorry to crash your wedding," she said, breathing hard like she'd been running. "But you need to know what your family is involved in, what Tyler is really doing, what they're planning." Daniel stepped protectively beside me. "What are you talking about?" Madison pulled out her phone, showing us a video. "Tyler isn't just some influencer. He runs a fraud scheme, fake charities, money laundering through social media campaigns. Your sister is the perfect cover. Millions of legitimate followers to hide the illegal activity." I stared at the screen, seeing documents, bank transfers, emails. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because your father is signing papers today. Tyler is showing him fake documents for a hospital wing donation, but he's actually getting your father to co-sign on shell companies. Your whole family is about to become accomplices to federal crimes." "We need to warn them," Daniel said immediately. Madison laughed bitterly. "I tried. I called your parents 2 hours ago. Your father called me a jealous ex and hung up. Your mother blocked my number. Your sister posted a story calling me desperate and pathetic." I sank into a chair, my wedding dress pooling around me. My family had chosen crime over my wedding. "We have to call the FBI," Daniel said, his medical training kicking in. "Assess the situation, take immediate action." But Madison shook her head. "I already did, 3 weeks ago when I discovered everything. They're building a case, but Tyler's smart. He knows how to make everything look legitimate on the surface. That's why he needs people like your father, respected professionals who provide credibility." I stood up, my wedding dress suddenly feeling like it weighed 1,000 pounds. How long have they been investigating? 6 months. They told me the raid would happen soon, but they wouldn't say when. Madison's voice cracked. "I loved him for 2 years before I found out who he really was. Your sister? She either knows and doesn't care, or she's too blinded by the fame to see it." Rachel helped me sit back down, fanning my face with a wedding program. "Emily, you need water. You're pale as a ghost." But I wasn't thinking about water. I was thinking about my father, the respected surgeon who built his reputation over 30 years, about to lose everything for a party in Beverly Hills. My mother, who cared so much about appearances, about to be plastered across newspapers. And Ashley, vain, selfish Ashley, who might end up in federal prison. "I have to try one more time," I said, reaching for my phone. "Emily, don't," Daniel warned. "They made their choice." But I was already dialing my father's number. It went straight to voicemail. My mother's too. Ashley's phone rang once before she declined the call. Madison pulled up Ashley's Instagram Live. There they were, my entire family at the massive party. 500 guests, cameras everywhere, a 10-tier cake that probably cost more than my entire wedding. Ashley was on a stage, Tyler beside her, my parents beaming in the front row. "Ladies and gentlemen," Tyler announced, his voice smooth as silk, "I want to thank my future in-laws, William and Barbara Anderson, for not just attending today, but becoming business partners in our new venture, Morrison Anderson Medical Foundation." The crowd erupted in applause. My father walked onto the stage, shaking Tyler's hand. Documents were produced. A ceremonial pen was handed over. "Don't sign it," I whispered uselessly at the screen. But he did, with a flourish, on camera in front of 500 witnesses and who knows how many watching online. My father signed what he thought was a charitable foundation, but was actually, according to Madison, incorporation papers for a shell company. "It's done," Madison said quietly. "I'm sorry, I should have tried harder to warn them." The reception continued around us, but it felt surreal now. My wedding guests were dancing, eating, celebrating, while I watched my family self-destruct on a phone screen 800 miles away. Around 5 p.m., Sarah pulled me aside. "Emily, you need to focus on your day, your marriage. Don't let them ruin this too." She was right. I turned off my phone, plastered on a smile, and danced with my new husband. Daniel's family embraced me completely, filling some of the void. His grandmother, Helen, even gave me the wedding pearls that had been in their family for 4 generations, something my own grandmother had refused to do, saying she was saving them for Ashley's real wedding. But even as I smiled and danced, my mind kept wandering to what was coming. Madison had left after showing us the evidence, giving us a burner phone number in case you need to reach me when things go down. The wedding ended at 10 p.m. Daniel and I were supposed to leave for our honeymoon to Maine the next morning, a modest trip we'd saved for, nothing like the month in Europe Ashley always talked about wanting. As we arrived at our hotel room, both our phones started buzzing simultaneously. Multiple calls, texts, all from unknown numbers. Then a text from the burner phone. "Turn on the news. Now. M." Daniel grabbed the remote. Every major news channel was showing the same thing. FBI agents swarming Tyler Morrison's Beverly Hills mansion. The headline scrolled across the bottom. "Massive FBI raid at influencer engagement party. 500 guests detained for questioning." The footage was chaos. Guests in designer gowns and tuxedos being corralled into groups, FBI agents carrying out boxes of documents. And there, in the center of it all, Tyler Morrison in handcuffs. Then I saw them, my family. My father, his face white with shock, an agent on each arm. My mother, crying hysterically as an agent guided her towards a van. And Ashley, perfect, composed Ashley, screaming at the cameras that this was all a mistake, that she was innocent, that she was being targeted because of her fame. My phone rang. Unknown number. "Emily." It was my father's voice, but I'd never heard him sound like this. Scared, desperate, small. "Dad?" "Emily, sweetheart, there's been a terrible misunderstanding. We're at the FBI field office. They're saying something about fraud, about money laundering. You need to call our lawyer. You need to—" The line went dead. Another call immediately. My mother's this time. "This is your fault," she screamed. "You were jealous. You did this to ruin Ashley's engagement. You always hated that she was more successful." "Mom, I tried to warn you." "Don't lie to me. The FBI agent said someone in the family provided information. It was you, wasn't it? On your wedding day, you couldn't stand that we chose Ashley, so you destroyed us." "I didn't." But she had already hung up. Daniel held me as I shook. "This isn't your fault. You tried to warn them." A text from Ashley came through. "I will never forgive you for this. Never. You destroyed my life because you couldn't handle me being the center of attention for once. I hope your pathetic wedding was worth ruining our entire family. Don't ever contact me again." The irony of her saying, "for once," would have been funny if it wasn't so tragic. Another unknown number called. This time, it was Agent Jennifer Chen from the FBI. "Mrs. Thompson, this is Agent Chen. We need to speak with you and your husband as soon as possible. We understand Madison Reeves contacted you today with information about your family's involvement with Tyler Morrison. Are they under arrest? Your father has been arrested on charges of conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Your mother and sister are currently being detained as material witnesses, though charges may be forthcoming depending on what our investigation reveals." "We need you to come to the Los Angeles field office," Agent Chen continued. "Can you be here tomorrow?" I looked at Daniel, who nodded. "Our honeymoon would have to wait. We'll drive through the night," I said. "Good. And Mrs. Thompson, don't contact your family or discuss this with anyone except your attorney." After she hung up, Daniel and I sat in silence on our wedding night, still in our wedding clothes, watching the news coverage. The crawl at the bottom kept updating. 73 arrested in Morrison fraud scheme. Then, Morrison Enterprise accused of stealing $40 million from fake charities. We changed out of our wedding attire, packed quickly, and started the 12-hour drive to Los Angeles. Daniel drove while I searched online for information. Ashley's Instagram had been taken down, but screenshots were everywhere. The last post before the raid showed her flashing her engagement ring with the caption, "Living my best life with my family who actually supports me." The comments below were brutal. People who had donated to Tyler's fake charities were sharing their stories. Single mothers who'd given their last $20 to what they thought was a children's cancer fund. Elderly people who donated their Social Security checks to fake veteran charities. Around 3 a.m., we stopped at a gas station in Nevada. My phone had been buzzing nonstop with calls from relatives who've seen the news. Aunt Susan left a voicemail. "Emily, dear, I'm so sorry I missed your wedding. Did you know about this? Please call me." My cousin Jennifer texted, "OMG, Emily, is your family really going to jail? This is insane!" Even my grandmother called. "Darling, I'm in shock. The FBI questioned everyone at the party. Thank God I hadn't signed anything. Your grandfather would roll over in his grave if he knew what William had done." Suddenly, they all cared. Now that the glamorous party had turned into a criminal investigation, they remembered I existed. We arrived at the FBI field office at 2 p.m. Sunday. Agent Chen was a petite woman with sharp eyes who looked like she hadn't slept in days. "Mrs. Thompson, thank you for coming. We've been investigating Tyler Morrison for 18 months. Your father signed documents yesterday that created a medical foundation that would have been used to launder money through fake medical supply purchases." "He didn't know," I said automatically, even though I was furious with him. "That's what we're trying to determine. The documents he signed were deliberately misleading, but a man of his education and experience should have noticed several red flags. Did he ever mention Tyler Morrison before yesterday?" I thought back. About 3 months ago, he mentioned that Ashley was dating someone important. He seemed excited about the connections it could bring to the hospital. Agent Chen made notes. "What about your sister? How long has she been dating Morrison?" 2 months? Maybe 10 weeks? Our investigation suggests she was specifically targeted. Morrison has a pattern of dating influencers with large followings and respected families. He uses them to legitimize his operations. Is Ashley going to be charged? Despite everything, she was still my sister. That depends on what she knew and when. We have evidence she promoted several of the fraudulent charities on her platform. If she knew they were fake, that's wire fraud. Each post could be a separate count. My stomach dropped. Ashley had promoted Tyler's charities constantly, telling her followers it was their duty to give back. Millions of people had donated because they trusted her. Agent Chen continued questioning us for 3 hours. She showed us documents, social media posts, bank records. The scale of Tyler's operation was staggering. He'd stolen from veterans, cancer patients, homeless shelters, disaster victims. And my family had walked right into the middle of it. As we were leaving, Agent Chen handed me a card. "Your father is being released on bail tomorrow, $2 million. Your mother was released this morning, no charges yet. Your sister," she paused, "your sister is being held pending charges. She promoted fake charities to 10 million followers. The U.S. attorney wants to make an example. We found a cheap motel near the federal detention center. That night, Daniel held me as I cried. Not pretty wedding night tears, but ugly, body-shaking sobs. My wedding had been ruined, my family was imploding, and somehow I was being blamed for it all. Monday morning, we went to the detention center. I had added myself to Ashley's visitor list, though I wasn't sure she'd see me. After 2 hours of waiting, a guard called my name. Ashley looked terrible. No makeup, her hair flat, wearing a brown jumpsuit that washed out her complexion. The confident influencer was gone, replaced by a terrified 26-year-old. "Come to gloat," she said, but there was no venom in it, just exhaustion. "I came to see if you're okay." She laughed bitterly. "Okay? Emily, they're saying I could get 20 years. 20 years for sharing posts about charities. Fake charities, Ashley. People gave money thinking it would help sick kids." "I didn't know," she screamed, then started crying. "I didn't know. Tyler said he was helping people. He showed me pictures of children in hospitals, thank you letters from veterans. How was I supposed to know it was all fake?" For the first time in years, maybe ever, I felt sorry for her. "What did your lawyer say?" "That I should cooperate, testify against Tyler. But Emily," she looked at me with real fear, "Tyler knows people, dangerous people. His lawyer already threatened me, said if I testify, things could happen." "You have to tell the FBI about the threats." "I did. They said they'd protect me, but how can they protect me from everyone? His reach is everywhere. I have 10 million followers. Do you know how easy it would be for one of them to hurt me?" The guard signaled our time was up. As I stood to leave, Ashley grabbed my hand through the glass partition. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "about your wedding, about everything. I was so jealous that you found real love while I was stuck playing pretend with Tyler. I wanted everyone to choose me just once over you." "They always chose you, Ashley." "No," she said sadly. "They chose the idea of me, the successful daughter, the famous one. But you, Daniel chose you. Really you. Not your followers or your connections, just you." I left the detention center with Ashley's words echoing in my mind. Outside, Daniel was waiting by our car, on the phone with someone. His face was grim. "That was my mother," he said as I approached. "The news tracked down our wedding venue. Reporters are calling all the guests. Someone leaked that you tried to warn your family about Tyler before the raid." "Madison," I realized. "She must have told them." "It gets worse. Your father gave an interview." My blood ran cold. "What did he say?" Daniel pulled up the video on his phone. There was my father, outside the federal courthouse, looking haggard but defiant. "My daughter Emily has always been jealous of her sister's success," he told the cluster of reporters. "The timing of these accusations, on Ashley's engagement day and Emily's wedding day, is highly suspicious. We believe Emily may have been manipulated by individuals seeking to destroy our family." I watched in horror as my mother stood beside him, nodding. "Emily has always had issues with attention-seeking behavior. We are exploring all legal options, including defamation charges against those spreading lies about our involvement." "They're blaming me," I said numbly. "They're actually blaming me." My phone rang. It was Michael, my father-in-law. "Emily, Daniel, you need to know. William's been calling me. He wants me to convince you to recant your statement to the FBI. He says if you don't, he'll sue you both for defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress." "Let him try," Daniel said firmly. "We told the truth." That afternoon, we met with a lawyer Daniel's family recommended, James Crawford. He reviewed everything: the FBI interview, the threatening messages from my family, the public statements my parents had made. "Your father is in serious trouble," he said bluntly. "The documents he signed are damning. His only defense is claiming ignorance, but given his education and business experience, that's weak. By attacking you publicly, he's trying to create reasonable doubt, make it seem like this is a family dispute, not criminal fraud. What should we do? Document everything. Save every text, voicemail, email. If they contact you, don't respond without me present. And he hesitated. You might want to consider a restraining order. Against my own parents? They're publicly defaming you and privately threatening legal action. This isn't normal family conflict anymore. That evening, we finally returned home. Our apartment building was surrounded by news fans. Someone had leaked our address. We had to push through reporters shouting questions. Emily, did you set up your sister? Was this revenge for missing your wedding? How long have you been working with the FBI? Inside our apartment, we found our answering machine full. 47 messages. I played them one by one. Old friends asking if the news was true, coworkers expressing shock, my Aunt Susan saying she always knew Ashley would drag the family down. Then a message that made my blood freeze. A distorted voice, clearly using some kind of modifier. You destroyed the wrong people. Tyler has friends. Watch your back. I immediately called the FBI. Agent Chen said they'd increase patrols around our building and tap our phones with our permission. She said, these threats are common when cases this big break, but we take them seriously. I couldn't sleep that night. Every noise made me jump. Daniel installed extra locks, but they felt useless against the weight of what we were facing. Tuesday morning brought more chaos. Ashley's bail hearing was denied. She was considered a flight risk with her millions in overseas accounts. The judge called her a significant participant in a scheme that defrauded thousands of vulnerable victims. My father's assets were frozen pending investigation. The hospital had placed him on administrative leave. My mother's charity positions, the ones she'd spent years cultivating, all quietly asked her to resign. Then came the call I'd been dreading. Richard, my boss at the hospital. Richard, I need you to come in for a meeting. I knew what was coming. When I arrived, HR was waiting with him. We've been receiving calls, Richard said uncomfortably. Complaints from patients who saw the news. They're concerned about having a nurse whose family is involved in fraud, treating them or their children. I had nothing to do with... We know, but the hospital's reputation is at stake. We're placing you on unpaid administrative leave pending the resolution of your family's legal issues. You're punishing me for my family's crimes? We're protecting the hospital, the HR representative said coldly. You'll be eligible to reapply once this matter is resolved. I walked out in a daze. My nursing license, my career, my identity, all suspended because of my last name. When I got home, Daniel was pacing on the phone with his mother. His face told me everything. He said, the hospital board is pressuring me too. They want me to distance myself from the situation. They suggested I take a voluntary leave. This is insane. We didn't do anything wrong. I know. I told them if they want me gone, they'll have to fire me. But Emily, he sat beside me, maybe we should leave, start fresh somewhere. Run away? That's what they want. My parents want me to disappear so they can control the narrative. That afternoon, Madison called from a blocked number. I'm in witness protection, she explained. Tyler's people made credible threats. The FBI moved me last night. They threatened us too. Then take it seriously. Tyler had $40 million flowing through his operations. People have killed for far less. The FBI can only do so much. After she hung up, I made a decision. If my family wanted to make me the villain, if Tyler's people wanted to threaten us, if everyone wanted us to run and hide, then I was going to fight back. I called Agent Chen. I want to go public. Tell my side. Everything. That could be dangerous, and it might complicate the prosecution. My family already went public blaming me. I won't hide while they destroy my reputation." Agent Chen was quiet for a moment. "There's a journalist, Sarah Park from the Washington Post. She's been investigating Tyler for months. She's trustworthy. If you want to tell your story, she's who I'd recommend." Sarah Park arrived at our apartment Wednesday morning with a recorder and a notepad. She was younger than I expected, maybe 35, with intense eyes that seemed to catalog every detail. "Before we start," she said, "you should know that Tyler Morrison's attorneys have threatened to sue any outlet that publishes defamatory content about him. My editors are prepared for that fight, but I need you to understand, once the story goes live, there's no taking it back." "My family already crucified me publicly," I said. "I have nothing left to lose." For 3 hours, I told her everything. The years of being invisible in my own family, Ashley's golden child status, the wedding abandonment, Madison's warning, the FBI raid, the threats. Daniel sat beside me, occasionally adding details, his hand never leaving mine. Sarah showed me documents she'd obtained. "Tyler Morrison has done this before," she said, spreading out papers. 3 years ago in Miami, different name, same scheme. He got away because his girlfriend's family took the fall. The father went to prison for 18 months. The girlfriend disappeared. Some say witness protection, others say worse." "Worse?" "She was supposed to testify. 2 days before the trial, she vanished. Never found." My mouth went dry. Daniel's grip on my hand tightened. "I'm not trying to scare you," Sarah continued, "but you need to understand what you're up against. Tyler Morrison isn't just some influencer who got greedy. He's connected to organized crime. The charity fraud is just money laundering for bigger operations." "Then why isn't the FBI?" "They are, but these cases take years to build. Your father signing those documents was the break they needed. He provided the legitimate medical front they required to move millions offshore." My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, a photo of Daniel and me entering our apartment building taken from across the street. The message read, "Beautiful couple. Shame if something happened." Sarah immediately photographed the message. "Forward this to the FBI now." As I did, another text came through. This time, a photo of my parents' house. "Family is everything. Remember that." "They're threatening my parents?" Sarah looked grim. "Or your parents are involved in the threats. I've seen families turn on whistleblowers before." The thought that my parents might be complicit in threatening me was too much. But then I remembered my father's cold voice, my mother's accusations. Would they really go that far? That afternoon, Agent Chen called. "We've traced the threatening messages. They're coming from burner phones purchased near your parents' current hotel." "My parents are threatening me?" "We can't prove who's using the phones, but the geographic correlation is concerning. We're bringing them in for questioning." 2 hours later, my father called from his lawyer's phone. "Emily, what have you done? The FBI is harassing us because of some anonymous threats? This is beyond acceptable." "Dad, someone is threatening Daniel and me. Someone who knows where you are. And you immediately assume it's us? Your own parents? You really are determined to destroy this family. You destroyed our family when you chose Ashley's party over my wedding. We chose opportunity over mediocrity," he snapped, but caught himself. But it was too late. His true feelings were finally out. "Mediocrity," I repeated flatly. "My wedding was mediocrity." "Emily, I didn't mean—" I hung up. Sarah's article went live Thursday morning. The headline, "The Bride They Left Behind. How One Woman's Wedding Day Warning Could Have Prevented a $40 million fraud." Within hours, it went viral. #AbandonedBride started trending. People shared their own stories of family betrayal. The hospital that had suspended me started receiving angry calls from nurses nationwide. Daniel's hospital faced similar backlash for pressuring him. But with visibility came danger. Thursday night, someone slashed all 4 tires on our car. Friday morning, dead roses were delivered to my suspended work, with a card, "Snitches get more than stitches." The FBI moved us to a safe house Friday afternoon, a bland apartment in a building with security cameras and an agent in the lobby. This was our honeymoon, hiding from criminals my family had invited into our lives. Saturday, 1 week after my wedding, Ashley called from jail. She was crying before I even said hello. "Emily, I've read the article. God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I mean, I knew you were hurt about the wedding, but I didn't understand. I've been so stupid." "Ashley, no, please let me talk. Tyler's lawyer came to see me. He said that if I testify against Tyler, you and Daniel will have accidents. He said it so casually, like he was discussing the weather. Emily, these people are monsters. You have to tell the FBI." "I did, but Emily, there's more. Mom and Dad, they knew." My heart stopped. "What?" "Not about the fraud, but about Tyler's connections. 3 weeks before the engagement, Dad had Tyler investigated. He found out about Miami, about the missing girlfriend, but he didn't care because Tyler promised him $10 million in donations for the hospital's new wing. Dad figured Tyler would marry me, make the donation, and whatever happened after wasn't his problem. He knew Tyler was dangerous and let you date him anyway? He said Tyler wouldn't hurt me as long as I was useful, that I should enjoy the ride while it lasted. Mom agreed. She said marrying rich was worth some risk." I felt sick. My parents hadn't just chosen Ashley's party over my wedding. They'd chosen money over both their daughter's safety. "There's something else, Ashley," she whispered. "The FBI found offshore accounts in Mom and Dad's names. Tyler's been depositing money for weeks. Small amounts, but consistent. It looks like they were being paid." "Paid? For what?" "For me, Emily. Tyler was basically buying me, and our parents were taking payments." The revelation shouldn't have surprised me, but it did. Every time I thought my parents couldn't sink lower, they found new depths. "Ashley, you have to testify. Whatever it takes to stop these people." "I'm scared." "So am I. But we're stronger together than apart. For once in our lives, let's actually be sisters." She was quiet for a moment. "Okay, I'll do it. But Emily, if something happens to me, nothing will happen. The FBI will protect you." But even as I said that, I thought about the missing girlfriend in Miami. Some promises were easier made than kept. Monday morning brought a new crisis. Daniel's mother, Linda, called, her voice shaking. "Someone broke into our house last night. Nothing was stolen, but they left photos on our kitchen table. Photos of you and Daniel at your wedding, with red X's drawn over your faces. Did you call the police? The FBI is here now. Emily, Michael, and I are terrified. What have we gotten into?" The guilt hit me like a physical blow. Daniel's family was being terrorized because of my family's choices. "I'm so sorry, Linda. This is all my fault." "No," she said firmly. "This is your parents' fault. And that criminal, Tyler. You and Daniel are victims too." But it didn't feel that way. It felt like everyone around us was suffering because of our connection to this mess. Agent Chen called an hour later. "We're moving your sister to a secure facility. She's agreed to turn state evidence. Her testimony, combined with the documents your father signed, should be enough to put Tyler away for 25 to life." "What about my parents?" "Your father is looking at 5 to 10 years for conspiracy to commit fraud. Your mother, the offshore accounts are problematic. If she knew about them, she's looking at similar charges." That afternoon, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Emily?" It was my mother's voice, but different, broken. "Please don't hang up." "What do you want, Mom?" "I'm at the Marriott downtown, rooms 512. I need to see you. Alone, please." "Are you insane?" After the threats, the attacks? I know who's behind them, but I can't say over the phone. Please, Emily, I'm your mother. You stopped being my mother when you chose money over your daughter's lives. 1 hour. That's all I ask. I have information that could save you and Daniel. I should have called the FBI immediately. Instead, I told Daniel I was going to the store and drove to the Marriott. Maybe I was stupid. Maybe I was still that little girl desperate for her mother's approval. Either way, I went. The woman who answered the door looked 10 years older than the mother I'd seen in Ashley's Instagram stories a week ago. Her perfect hair was limp, her designer clothes replaced with a simple sweater and jeans. "You came," she said, and started crying. I stayed by the door, ready to run. "You have 55 minutes. "Tyler's people didn't send those threats," she said quickly. "Your father did." The room spun. "What?" "He hired someone to scare you into silence. He thought if you were frightened enough, you'd recant your FBI statement, say you were mistaken about the warning. Without your testimony about Madison's warning, he could claim complete ignorance about Tyler's crimes." His own daughter? He threatened his own daughter. He's desperate, Emily. He's going to lose everything. His medical license, his reputation, his freedom. He blames you for not keeping quiet. How do you know this? She pulled out her phone, played a recording. It was my father's voice. "I don't care what it takes. Scare them. Make them run. Just don't actually hurt them. I need Emily to shut up and disappear until this trial is over." Another voice responded. "And if fear doesn't work? Then we go to plan B. We destroy her credibility. Mental health issues, history of lying, jealousy of her sister. Whatever it takes." My mother stopped the recording. "I recorded this 3 days ago. He didn't know." "Why?" I asked. "Why record him? Why tell me?" "Because I chose wrong," she said simply. "For 30 years, I chose my father over everything, over my own judgment, over my conscience, and worst of all, over you and Ashley. I watched him favor Ashley because she was marketable, profitable. I watched him dismiss you because you were just ordinary. And I said nothing." She sat on the bed, looking small and defeated. "When Tyler came along, I knew something was off. The money, the lifestyle, the promises. It was too much, too fast. But my father saw dollar signs, hospital wings with his name on them, medical foundations that would make him famous. And I stayed quiet, like always. You could have warned Ashley." "I tried, once. She told my father, and he said if I interfered with her career opportunity, he'd divorce me. After 30 years, I'm nothing without him. No career, no money of my own, no identity beyond Mrs. William Anderson." "So you chose yourself over your daughter's safety." "Yes," she admitted. "And now Ashley's in jail, facing 20 years. You're in hiding, terrorized by the man who should protect you, and I'm sitting in a hotel room about to testify against my husband of 30 years. "You're testifying?" "Tomorrow. The FBI offered me immunity in exchange for the recording and my testimony about what William knew and when. I took it." "He'll destroy you for this." She laughed bitterly. "He already has. The moment he chose to threaten you, my own daughter, over saving himself, he destroyed any love I had left for him." She stood and pulled a USB drive from her purse. "This has everything. Recordings, emails, documents. Proof that your father knew Tyler was dangerous, that he was being paid to provide Ashley as a respectable girlfriend, that he hired people to threaten you." I took the drive with shaking hands. "Why not give this directly to the FBI?" "Because I wanted you to have it first, to decide what to do with it. I've controlled so little of your life, Emily. Let this one thing be your choice." "My choice? Mom, this is evidence in a federal case." "I know, but it's also your father's death sentence. With this, he won't get 5 to 10 years, he'll get 25, maybe life." The weight of the USB drive felt immense. My father, despite everything, was still my father. Could I be the one to put him away forever? I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know that I see you now. Really see you. And I'm so sorry it took losing everything to open my eyes. My phone buzzed. Daniel, texting frantically. Where are you? FBI says your mom left her surveillance. They think she's meeting someone. I have to go. Emily, wait! She grabbed my hand. Your wedding, was it beautiful? It was perfect, I lied. Small, intimate, surrounded by people who actually love me. Good, she whispered. That's good. I left the hotel with the USB drive burning in my pocket. In the parking lot, 3 FBI vehicles were waiting. Agent Chen stepped out of one, her face stern. That was incredibly reckless, Mrs. Thompson. Your mother is a person of interest in an active investigation. She gave me this, I said, handing over the USB. Evidence against my father. He's the one who's been threatening us, not Tyler's people. Agent Chen's expression shifted from anger to surprise. She plugged the drive into a laptop in her vehicle, her eyes widening as she reviewed the contents. This changes everything. We need to move on your father immediately. She looked at me. You understand what this means. Your testimony, combined with this evidence, I know. Do it. 2 hours later, I watched on the news as my father was arrested at the hospital. The footage showed him being led out in handcuffs past colleagues he'd worked with for 20 years. His face was a mask of rage until he saw the cameras. Then it shifted to wounded dignity, the performance of an innocent man wronged. The reporter announced, Dr. William Anderson, already facing fraud charges, has now been charged with witness intimidation, conspiracy to obstruct justice, and making terroristic threats against his own daughter. Daniel held me as I cried, not for the man being arrested, but for the father I'd wanted him to be, the one who should have walked me down the aisle, who should have protected me, who should have loved me unconditionally. That evening, Ashley called from the secure facility. I saw the news. Mom really turned on Dad? She gave me evidence that he hired people to threaten us. Jesus, Emily, our family is literally destroying itself. No, I corrected. It destroyed itself years ago. We're just finally seeing the ruins. The FBI says with Mom cooperating and Dad under arrest for the threats, Tyler is looking to make a deal. He'll plead guilty to avoid trial. How do you feel about that? Relieved. I don't want to testify, to relive all of this in court. I just want it over. What will you do when you get out? Ashley was quiet for a moment. Start over, I guess. My Instagram is gone. My reputation is destroyed. I'll be a convicted felon even with a plea deal. The influencer life is over. Maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe not, she agreed. Emily, I know it's too late, but I wish I'd been at your wedding. I wish I'd chosen you. Yeah, I said softly. Me too. Tuesday brought more revelations. The FBI's forensic accountants had traced the money in my parents' offshore accounts. Over 6 months, Tyler had paid them $300,000. The payments started small, $5,000 here, $10,000 there, labeled as consulting fees for my father's medical expertise. But the real shock came from my mother's testimony, which was leaked to the press. She revealed that my father had essentially sold Ashley to Tyler, promising to ensure she stayed in the relationship regardless of any red flags. In exchange, Tyler would donate millions to the hospital and cut my father in on future medical ventures. The hospital immediately fired my father and announced they were reviewing all donations received in the past year. The medical board suspended his license pending investigation. In 1 week, he'd gone from respected surgeon to pariah. Sarah Park called me Wednesday morning. I'm doing a follow-up article. The public response to your story has been incredible. We've received thousands of emails from people who've experienced similar family betrayals. You've started something. I didn't mean to start anything. I just wanted the truth out. Sometimes that's the same thing. Also, there's something you should know. Tyler's ex-girlfriend, the one who disappeared in Miami, she reached out to me. She's alive, in witness protection. She wants to talk to you. Why? Because she says you're the first person who fought back and won. That afternoon, a secure phone call was arranged. The woman's voice was different. The FBI had altered it for protection, but her words were clear. They told me to run. My family, the FBI, everyone said to disappear and never look back. So I did. New name, new life, new everything. But I've been watching your story. You didn't run. You stood up to them. I had help. My husband, the FBI, the press. No, she interrupted. You had courage. I've been hiding for 3 years, afraid of my own shadow, afraid Tyler would find me. But seeing you fight back, seeing him finally face justice, maybe I can stop hiding too. Are you going to testify? I'm thinking about it. My testimony could add another decade to his sentence. But Emily, be careful. Even in prison, Tyler has reach. This isn't over just because he's locked up. Thursday, my father made bail again, this time set at $5 million. He'd liquidated everything, retirement accounts, property, investments. Within hours of his release, he did exactly what we expected. Went on the offensive. He held a press conference outside his lawyer's office, claiming he was the victim of a conspiracy orchestrated by me and my mother. He accused me of mental illness, of jealousy, of fabricating evidence. He even suggested I'd been having an affair with Tyler and was scorned when he chose Ashley. The lies were so outrageous that most media outlets dismissed them, but some picked them up, running headlines like, "Family Feud Turns Fatal," and "Daughter's Revenge or Justice." Daniel wanted to respond, to fight back publicly, but Agent Chen advised against it. Let him rant. Every lie he tells is another nail in his coffin. Juries don't like desperate men who attack their own children. Friday afternoon, 1 week and 1 day after my wedding, I received a letter. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting. My grandmother, Mary, my father's mother. Dear Emily, I'm dying. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. Weeks, maybe days left. I need to tell you something before I go. Your father was always wrong about you. You were never ordinary or mediocre. You were the only honest person in a family built on lies and appearances. I should have stood up for you, should have been at your wedding, should have chosen love over luxury. But I was a coward. Just like your mother. I'm leaving you everything. The house, the money, all of it. Your father will contest it, but my lawyer says it's ironclad. Use it to build the life you deserve, the life our family should have given you. Don't forgive us, we don't deserve it, but forgive yourself for whatever guilt you're carrying. You were the only good thing to come from this poisoned tree. Love, Grandma Mary. I sat in our safe house apartment, holding the letter, and for the first time since all this had begun, I felt something like peace. The call about my grandmother came Sunday morning. She'd passed peacefully in her sleep, the hospice nurse said. In her final days, she'd refused to see my father, but had asked repeatedly if I'd received her letter. She wanted you to know she meant every word, the nurse told me. She said you'd understand. The funeral was scheduled for Wednesday. My father, through his lawyer, informed me I was not welcome. He claimed that as her son, he had the right to control the guest list. But Mary had thought of that too. Her will specified that I was to be the executor of her estate and in charge of all funeral arrangements. She changed everything 2 weeks ago, her lawyer, Stephen Phillips, explained. She was very specific. You have full control. I made the funeral small, intimate. Just the people who genuinely cared for her, not the society crowd my father would have invited for appearances. I didn't ban my parents, I wasn't that cruel, but I didn't make it easy for them either. No reserved family seating, no special acknowledgments. My father arrived in an expensive suit, my mother in designer black. They sat in the back, isolated. Ashley was still in custody, so she attended via video link. The FBI arranged it as a compassionate exception. During the service, I spoke about the grandmother I'd known as a child, before money and status poisoned everything. The woman who'd taught me to bake cookies, who'd read me stories, who'd told me I was special even when everyone else made me feel invisible. She lost her way, I said, looking directly at my father. But in the end, she found her courage. She chose truth over comfort, love over appearance. That's how I'll remember her. After the service, my father cornered me outside. "You think you've won," he hissed, "taking my mother's estate, turning everyone against me. But this isn't over." "Dad, it is over. You're going to prison. Your medical career is finished. Your reputation is destroyed. And you did it all to yourself." "I did it for this family, for success, for legacy." "You did it for yourself. And now you have nothing." He raised his hand, and for a moment I thought he might hit me. But Daniel stepped between us, and 2 FBI agents who'd been watching moved closer. "Touch her and add assault to your charges," Daniel said quietly. My father lowered his hand, his face purple with rage. "You're no daughter of mine." "Finally," I said, "something we agree on." Thursday's news brought unexpected hope. Tyler Morrison, facing the mounting evidence and additional testimony from his Miami victim, agreed to plead guilty to all charges. 40 years in federal prison, no possibility of parole for 25. His assets would be liquidated to pay restitution to victims. Ashley's lawyer called with the deal they'd offered her: 3 years of probation, 6 months house arrest, and 5,000 hours of community service. No prison time if she completes it all. "That's amazing," I told her when she called. "It's more than I deserve," she said. "Emily, I've been thinking. When I get out, I want to work with teens about social media manipulation. Turn this mess into something useful." "That sounds perfect." "Also," she hesitated, "I know it's too much to ask, but would you consider, could I stay with you during house arrest? I have nowhere else to go." I looked at Daniel, who nodded. "Yes," I said. "Family is family." "Even after everything?" "Especially after everything." Friday brought my father's trial date, 3 months away, but his lawyer was already shopping a plea deal. The evidence was overwhelming. The recordings, the payments, the witness intimidation. He was looking at 20 years minimum if convicted. My mother had moved into a small apartment, her assets frozen pending investigation. She'd been calling, leaving voicemails I didn't listen to until Daniel suggested I might regret it later. "Emily," her latest message said, "I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I've started therapy. Real therapy, not the kind where you pay someone to agree with you. I'm trying to understand how I became someone who would sacrifice her daughters for comfort. Maybe someday, when you're ready, we could talk. Really talk. Not as Mrs. William Anderson and her disappointing daughter, but as 2 women trying to heal." I saved the message, but didn't respond. Maybe someday, but not yet. Saturday marked 2 weeks since my wedding. Daniel and I finally took a honeymoon of sorts, 3 days in a cabin in Maine with FBI protection nearby. It wasn't the romantic getaway we'd planned, but it was ours. On our last night, sitting by the fire, Daniel said, "I need to tell you something. My parents want to pay for us to renew our vows. A real wedding this time, with the family who actually loves you. We're already married. I know. But you deserve the wedding you wanted. The one where you're celebrated, not abandoned." I thought about it. The white dress, the flowers, the father-daughter dance I'd never have. "Maybe," I said, "but not yet. When all this is over." "When will it be over?" "When my father is in prison, when Ashley is free, when I can sleep without checking the locks 3 times. "So, Tuesday," he joked, making me laugh for the first time in weeks. Sunday morning, Agent Chen called with news. "Your father took a plea deal. 15 years, possibility of parole in 10. He'll be sentenced next week." That's it? After everything? It's significant time for a man his age. He'll be 73 when he's eligible for parole. His life as he knew it is over. But it didn't feel like justice. Not for the 28 years of emotional abuse, the abandoned wedding, the threats, the betrayal. Still, it was something. That afternoon, going through my grandmother's house, my house now, I found a box in the attic. Inside were photos from my childhood. Birthday parties where I stood in the background while Ashley opened presents. Christmas mornings where she sat on my father's lap while I watched from the couch. School plays where she had the lead role and I was backstage. But at the bottom was one different photo. Just me and my grandmother at my college graduation. She was looking at me with such pride, such love. On the back, in her handwriting, my brilliant Emily, the only one who made it out whole. I'd never seen the photo before. She'd kept it hidden, a secret acknowledgement of what she saw, but couldn't say. Daniel found me crying over it. He said, "She loved you." I replied, "Too late." No, love is never too late. Even if it comes after death, even if it comes in a will that changes everything, even if it comes in a hidden photograph, love finds a way. 6 months later, I stood in my grandmother's garden, my garden now, watching the workers remove the last of the old rose bushes. Ashley sat beside me in a wheelchair, her ankle monitor visible beneath her jeans. House arrest had been harder on her than prison might have been. No cameras, no followers, no validation from strangers, just silence and time to think. "Remember when we were kids?" she asked. "Before everything got so twisted? We used to play here together." "You always wanted to be the princess," I recalled, "and I had to be the servant or the dragon. But you'd always change the story. Make the dragon win, or the servant become queen." She smiled sadly. "Maybe you were preparing for this all along." My father's sentencing had been a media circus. He'd stood before the judge, still proclaiming his innocence, still blaming me for his downfall. The judge hadn't been moved. "Dr. Anderson, you betrayed every oath you took, as a physician, as a father, as a citizen. 15 years. They'd let him away in shackles, and I'd felt nothing. No satisfaction, no sadness, just empty finality. My mother had attended the sentencing too, sitting far from me. Her lost 40 pounds, her designer clothes replaced with simple department store finds. After the verdict, she'd approached me. "Emily, I know I have no right to ask, but could we maybe exchange Christmas cards? Just to know you're okay?" I nodded. Baby steps. Now, Ashley and I watched Daniel playing with his nephew in the yard. We'd had the vow renewal 2 months ago. Small, perfect, surrounded by his family and our real friends. Linda had walked me down the aisle since I had no father to do it. This time, when I said "I do," I wasn't thinking about who was missing. I was thinking about who was there. "The FBI called yesterday," Ashley said, breaking into my thoughts. "Tyler was killed in prison, another inmate. They think it was ordered by his criminal associates. He knew too much." I should have felt something, relief, vindication, maybe even pity. But Tyler Morrison had been a ghost to me from the start, a catalyst for our family's destruction, but never a real person. "How do you feel about it?" I asked. "Free," she said simply. "For the first time in my life, actually free." My phone buzzed. Sarah Park, the journalist, with an update. Her series on our story had won a Pulitzer. She was donating half the prize money to a charity for fraud victims. The other half was going toward a scholarship for nursing students. She'd insisted on naming it after me. "You know what's funny?" Ashley said. "We're both infamous now. You as the whistleblower who took down her own family. Me as the influencer who promoted fraud. But somehow your infamy comes with respect. Mine just comes with shame. You're 27, I reminded her. You have time to change the narrative. Maybe. She stood, steadying herself on her crutches. A recent car accident, completely unrelated to our family drama, had left her with a broken ankle. The universe's final ironic twist. I should go. Community service at the youth center starts in an hour. She'd been teaching teenagers about the dangers of social media manipulation, how influencers could be used to promote scams, how to spot fake charities. The kids actually listened to her. She'd been famous, after all. After she left, I walked through my grandmother's house, now renovated with the inheritance money. We turned one wing into a free clinic where I worked as a nurse practitioner. I'd gone back to school, gotten my advanced degree. Daniel ran a pediatric practice next door. We were building something good from the ashes of our family's destruction. In my office hung a framed article, Sarah's final piece on our story. The headline read, "The Cost of Truth, A Family's Reckoning." Below it was a photo from my wedding, the real one, not the renewal. I stood alone at the altar, no family in sight, but my face was serene. I'd captioned it myself. The moment I chose myself. A knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. A young woman entered, nervous, fidgeting with her purse. "Mrs. Thompson, I'm Amber Lewis. I need help. My family is involved in something terrible, and they want me to stay quiet, but people are getting hurt." I gestured for her to sit. This had become my other job, helping whistleblowers navigate family betrayal. Word had spread after our story. I'd become the unofficial counselor for people choosing truth over family loyalty. "Tell me everything," I said. As Amber began her story, another tale of fraud, manipulation, and family pressure, I thought about the journey that had brought me here. My wedding day, abandoned and alone, the FBI raids, the threats, the trials, the complete destruction of the Anderson family. But also, Daniel's steadfast love, Linda and Michael becoming my true parents, Ashley and I finally being sisters, the clinic helping hundreds of families, the scholarship students sending thank you letters, my grandmother's final gift of freedom. My phone lit up with a text from Daniel. "Dinner at 7? Your sister's bringing her new boyfriend. She says he's not an influencer, thank God." I smiled, texting Deck, "Our family or yours?" He replied, "Ours." And he was right. We'd built our own family from the people who stayed, who fought beside us, who chose love over money and truth over comfort. The Anderson family was dead, but Emily Thompson, wife, nurse, advocate, sister, daughter-in-law, was very much alive. That evening, as our chosen family gathered around the dinner table, Ashley raised her glass of sparkling water, no alcohol during house arrest. "To Emily," she said, "who saved us all by refusing to be invisible anymore." "To all of us," I corrected, "for choosing to be better than we were raised to be." We clinked our glasses, and for the first time since that abandoned wedding day, I felt complete. Not because my biological family had finally seen me, but because I had finally seen myself. And that was enough. No, it was everything. Looking back, if my family had come to my wedding, none of this would have happened. Tyler would have continued his fraud. My father would have become deeper entangled in crime. Ashley might have married him and been destroyed. Their absence that day wasn't a betrayal. It was a gift. They showed me exactly who they were, allowing me to finally become who I was meant to be. Sometimes the best wedding present is an empty chair and the courage to fill your life with people who deserve to be there.